Mailbag time here on Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, we will answer your questions. They come to us from our live show that we do on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, where you guys use the hashtag Seahawks and Super Chat, and we react to your questions in real time. You may be saying to yourself, how can I be a part of a mailbag? Well, if you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, you will know when we're live and when we're taking questions and reacting to whatever you guys have. So, subscribe now for free. It does not cost you a thing. Absolutely 100% free. You'll be glad you did. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV to subscribe for free today. Sajin with a $7 Super Chat says, since Jones is holding, take the shot, Big Tex. He did. He knows when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. Thank you, Sajin, for that $7 Super Chat there. Stoner Television writes, if Quentin Williams is available next offseason, should we cut Diggs and sign C.J. Gardner? I said this last time, but does your answer change if Quinnen Williams is available? Here's the problem, Stoner Television, is that Quentin Williams is entering his fifth-year option. And I would bet that Quentin Williams is going to have a new contract one way or the other, whether he ultimately stays with the New York Jets or if he's traded wherever he would be traded, he would get that said new deal, in theory, at the new place he'd be going to. So, Stoner, I see what you're getting at there. I just don't see that as a possibility. If he was sitting out there in free agency, absolutely, we could have the discussion, be open to it. But I don't see that situation opening up itself. But nonetheless, thanks for the question. Sponge Bill. Okay. Who will be a breakout performer for the Seahawks this season? Well, there's a couple of names that come to mind. If you want to start with the rookie class, Jaxon Smith-Njigba, Devin Witherspoon, Zach Charbonnet, all those guys should be fantastic in 2023 of those players. But if I want to take a step even further, if I want to go with a guy that's got a chip on his shoulder, that's got something to prove of some sorts, look out for Devin Bush, okay? Now, most people, myself included, weren't too excited about the Devin Bush signing. I mean, he had a good rookie year in Pittsburgh, and, he just hasn't been good ever since then. Well, signs out of OTAs tell us that he's looked pretty decent in that he's emerged and he's fitting well in this defensive scheme. With the question marks surrounding Jordan Brooks and his availability, it looks like the Seahawks will be depending on Devin Bush. Watch out for Devin Bush to have a bounce-back campaign and to be a nice impact player for the Seahawks as a backup, inside linebacker and everything. Devin Bush is going to be an intriguing one for me. Name a breakout player for the Seahawks this year. Who comes to mind? Who would you like to see be a breakout performer, whether it's a young cat or a guy looking to take that next step? Give me one name. That's our pinned comment today. You might get an ad break, if so take advantage of it. Get your votes in. Tell me one way or the other. Who is going to be a breakout performer for the Seahawks in 2023? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Tom says, will Blitz give up 0 if a player wants to wear it? Maybe. I have not heard of anybody wanting to wear 0. Maybe I've missed something, but I haven't heard of that. But it'd be cool if somebody wanted to wear 0 and make that happen and fit right in Seattle with that number. I think Seattle fans were robbed of seeing Russell Westbrook wear number 0 with the Sonics, right? He was supposed to, and ultimately ended up with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Sorry not to open up old wounds here, but he's kind of the notable guy I think of the number 0 as far as that goes. So, I don't know. I don't know if anybody wants to wear 0, but certainly worth mentioning. We'll see what happens. Tyson says, can we stop Christian McCaffrey this season? Christian McCaffrey, star running back with the San Francisco 49ers, was traded there midseason and really elevated that Niner team. They were a whole different team in the second half of 2023 when they added Christian McCaffrey to that offense. And was a very nice check down option, provided some comfort for Brock Purdy in that offense. And now he's back, and he was a problem for the Seahawks to deal with in the matchups that they saw him play against. He was in 2 of the 3 games. Obviously, it wasn't the first games. That was week 2. And with Christian McCaffrey, I think the Seahawks are going to do a better job at stopping the run this year with the moves that they've made so far to this point, but there's still work to be done. It's not perfect. So guys like Christian McCaffrey can probably still go off and have a pretty decent game against Seattle. I would be shocked if he did what he did last year against the Seahawks, but he is going to still be a problem for them to deal with, so we'll see. Seahawks hats are on sale now. Also got beanies as well, if that's your vibe. We have the throwback scheme. We know the Seahawks are going to bring back the throwback colors this week. We also have the current stuff as well. And the best part about it all is that we're selling these hats and beanies and everything for up to 30% off. So stop whatever you're doing. Go ahead and get yourself a Seahawks hat or beanie, whatever it may be, for up to 30% off. All supplies last. Chatsports.com/Seahawks hats to get yours today. Chatsports.com/Seahawks hats for hats and beanies for up to 30% off while supplies last. DK, touchdowns all day. He rules. This one coming from DK, touchdowns all day. What are the chances we bring back Frank Clark? So, Frank Clark, this rumor has been floating for a while now as far as Seattle and Frank Clark goes. Frank Clark still remains available in free agency. The Chiefs ultimately decided to move on from Frank Clark, that as he got older and they were trying to spend money elsewhere, they felt like it didn't make sense for Seattle to hang on to Frank Clark, or for Kansas City rather, in that organization to pay him the money that he was said to be due. Goes to free agency, hasn't really found a right fit necessarily to this point just yet, but as I've said many times before, and will continue to reiterate, there is a lot of good that comes with the bad with Frank Clark. Yes, Frank Clark's won 2 Super Bowls. He's been to multiple Pro Bowls. I've said before that the Chiefs would not have won the Super Bowl that they've won without Frank Clark. With that said, though, he's been arrested 4 times since 2022. Okay? He's dealt with a lot of off-the-field issues. And he's still, even on the football field, even though he was a big part of the Chiefs' Super Bowl runs, he's been inconsistent. It's been a lot of peaks and valleys. So what are the chances? I don't think the chances are that great, all honesty. Is it possible? Sure. But I would say more likely not than yes that he ends up back in Seattle as far as that goes. Should the Seahawks sign Frank Clark? What do you think? Y for yes, in for no. Tell me what you think in the comment section. Y for yes, in for no, if the Seahawks should sign Frank Clark. Cody writes, do you think Geno big balls slap? Okay. San Fran's fruity faces. I don't even know where to go with that, but let's just make it simple. Do you think Geno will beat the 49ers? I'm not getting involved in the big balls or the fruity faces. I don't want to know what any of that means. I'll just kind of leave it as is. With that said, I think that Geno is going to have a fantastic 2023. His offensive line got better. His receiving core got better. The Niners are still fantastic, though. The Niners are still a very good football team in their own right. I think, realistically, if you're Seattle, with respect to your opponent, with how good San Francisco is, I think you could sit here and say to yourselves, you expect to split the season series 1-1. Win the game at your house, they win the game at their house. Of course, you'd love to win both, but I think a realistic expectation is you split the series and hope that's enough to win the division. So I don't know what the big balls or slapping fruity faces, I'm not going into that, but in a nutshell, I expect the Seahawks to compete, go toe-to-toe with San Francisco. Peter writes, what key positions do we need to consider to be a Super Bowl contending team? It's what they've been for the last several months. It's the interior of the offensive line, and it's the interior of the defensive line. Now, the interior of the offensive line might solve itself if Olu and Anthony Bradford develop, if Evan Brown looks good. That could all put itself together just fine as far as that goes. But that group, for the most part, is pretty unproven. As far as the interior of the defensive line goes, they're going to ask a lot of Cameron Young, and that might be not enough. They also are looking at potential edge rushers as well. There's still some good names out there to this point. You take care of those things, watch out. You look at the NFC, it's Philly and San Francisco, and then everybody else after that. Dallas, Seattle, New York. You're only a couple players away from taking that next step to be a complete team. Last question from Adriano DeSantos says, I have a feeling that JSN will jump Lockett for the number 2 wide receiver spot. I feel like Tyler Lockett won't demand too much throws and accept the 3rd wide receiver role, but Tyler will keep performing like a wide receiver 2. Well, if he keeps performing like a wide receiver 2, he's not going to lose one of the top 2 spots. I see what you're saying, though. With that said, even though Tyler Lockett did deal with some injuries last year, the statistics, the numbers show that he has not slowed down at all, that he's still playing at a very high level as one of the more underrated wide receivers in the league. Barring some injuries, I have no reason to think that Tyler Lockett won't have another big year as well. Maybe you just don't have a number 1 or 2 or 3 receiver. Maybe they all are the equivalent of being a 1 receiver as far as that goes. Like I've mentioned with the running back position, I'll apply it here to the wide receiver position too. It doesn't matter, just as long as somebody's catching the football. Grade the Seahawks offseason so far. What do you think? A, B, C, D, or F? Tell me in the comment section below.